Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel and to another installment of Eddie versus the algorithm, but this time for a very special episode. As we've got a week off until game week 22 is going to start, we're going to be bringing you my wildcard draft and also, of course, the algorithm's wildcard draft that it will be going with, looking over the next 5 game weeks, who are the top players to own. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel, and if you enjoy the content, please do leave a thumbs up, it really does help us out. But without any further ado, let's get into having a look at how this computer team is lining up over the next couple of game weeks with its optimised wildcard draft. And kicking things off with the goalkeeper, we're going to be seeing between the sticks for the algorithm, it's going to be David Raya of Brentford, who does seem an interesting goalkeeping option and one that not many managers are going for right now in FPL. Brentford have quite a lot of nice fixtures over the next period, but there is one looming thing that I think the algorithm can't really predict and also we need to take into account, which is going to be the possibility of a blank in game week 25 for Brentford. Those teams in game week 25 that look most likely to blank, so not have a game, are going to be Manchester United and Newcastle, plus their opponents in that week, Brighton and Brentford. It's Man United and Brentford who would be facing off against each other. So if Man United get through, which it looks very much like they're going to do in the competition, then we're going to see Brentford blank. So we would need cover for David Raya on the bench if we were going for him in a wildcard draft, which is definitely one thing to bear in mind. But Brentford have looked pretty solid defensively as of late, and it does look like quite a nice, cheap goalkeeping option. Personally, I would make sure I had cover on the bench if I went for Raya, or just go for a different goalkeeper entirely who has no risk of blanking in game week 25. Perhaps someone like Ederson could be worth the extra funds, plus you're also getting a double game week 23 with an extra fixture in there as well. So potentially 2 extra net fixtures in there due to the fact that Ederson won't blank and he actually faces Bournemouth in game week 25, which is a nicer fixture. Plus then you have the possibility, well, the confirmed double game week 23 for Man City as well in 1 game week's time. So I think there are a few better options than Raya, but definitely wouldn't write him off as an option. If you can get someone in who's got some decent game week 25 cover for him, then I think it could be a decent move. In defence, we're going to see a back 3 lining up for the algorithm of Thiago Silva, an algorithm favourite. We've also then got Trippier and Varane, so not going for Luke Shaw, which is interesting. He was actually ruled out of the midweek game for Manchester United, apparently through illness, which could be something to monitor for managers. So it's worth keeping an eye on that if you're looking to bring Luke Shaw in, but there's no justification for, of course, selling the Englishman this game week when Manchester United have such a strong set of fixtures. There's 2 home games against Crystal Palace and Leeds, look like 2 of the best fixtures you can have, and United look very good for clean sheets at home in terms of their prediction clean sheets this week. There's like an 80% chance of them getting at least 1 clean sheet in this game week, so I would definitely recommend owning at least 1 Manchester United defensive asset. Shaw looks the best man to go for. I don't think Dallow's still making it back from injury. You could go for Aaron Wan-Bissaka as a little bit of a cheaper punt if you wanted to, but he's going to be on a timer with Dallow regaining fitness. So that is, of course, something to consider. If you've got other things in your team that need sorting out, you perhaps don't have room for a punt like Aaron Wan-Bissaka in your side. Trippier's a given, don't even need to discuss him, but Thiago Silva is the other one in this team. Now, Chelsea's fixtures don't look too bad, and they have been keeping a lot more clean sheets recently. Personally, I'd be looking at Kepa in goal as the main option, due to the fact that they are still conceding quite a number of shots, Chelsea. Kepa's racking up those save points, and he's had a 10-pointer and a 9-pointer in the last 2 game weeks. I think it is worth keeping that in mind, that Thiago Silva is a little bit more expensive. If you can get a cheaper keeper in Kepa, who, as mentioned with Raya, he doesn't blank in game week 25 Kepa, whereas Raya does. So you've got that cover. You don't need to have a keeper on the bench to bring in for that game week where we're going to see a blank, which is interesting. So yeah, I prefer Kepa as the Chelsea defensive asset, and then I wouldn't want to double up. So I think Thiago Silva, there's a better option you can go for in that Chelsea backline if you want to buy into it, would be the moral of the story there. In midfield, we've got a midfield 5 and a very strong midfield 5 indeed, but only featuring players from 2 teams. It's Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United, plus the Arsenal triple up of Odegaard, Saka and Martinelli. So Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, I think, should be locked in on any wildcard draft if you're considering playing the chip this week. I think we should all be aiming to have them both in our teams as well, if possible. Certainly Marcus Rashford, the form he's in, but I think most of us already own the Englishman. Luke Shaw is highly owned by a lot of experienced FPL managers at the moment as well. So I think adding Bruno Fernandes will be the final step for those of us who don't already own the Portugueseman. He could be on penalties as well as underlying data since the restart. Hasn't looked absolutely incredible, but he is up there at the top and definitely a huge step up from what he was doing before the World Cup break. He has looked on fire recently. And just a lot of the play for Manchester United does go through him. He is one of the solo creators in that Manchester United side that really is, even if it's not a magnificent final pass, he is just involved. We saw with that Arsenal goal where Rashford drove through the Arsenal defence, it is still Bruno who's the link-up play in that final third, and it's going to result in him getting a lot of FPL returns. We've then got that Arsenal triple up, and I really like the look of Odegaard and Saka. I think they're strong options. Martinelli is a little bit of a doubt now. Now, the algorithm won't be considering this as strongly as we perhaps should, but Lisandro Trossard did actually just sign for Arsenal. In his first appearance, he came off the bench for Martinelli, who had some reduced minutes in that fixture. We've also got Emil Smith-Rowe back in competition, so personally, I think Martinelli would be my third favourite Arsenal midfield option right now, and I'd be considering going without him if possible on a wildcard draft. I think a lot of people who own him should look at hanging on to him and probably have bigger issues to sort out, but I think a lot of people who have him are considering a sideways move to another Arsenal midfielder. Well, whether it is actually a sideways move, I suppose it's an upgrade really if you're getting a player with more guaranteed minutes and who is in better form, such as Odegaard and Saka, Martinelli's teammates. And then we've also got an Arsenal striking option to think about, which we'll get onto in a moment. We're going to see the forward line now of, up front, Haaland and Toney. So an interesting forward line. Haaland is going to be in every team. We saw why you can't drop him at all or even consider going without him or even really consider going with a differential captaincy option at the moment with the fact that he scored a hat-trick in their last game. I think this week is going to be one of the exceptions due to the fact that Man City face off against Tottenham and United have those very kind fixtures at home at Old Trafford. And then finally, we've got Toney. So another Brentford player, so another blanker in this team. When we look at the total number of blanking players in Game Week 25, we've got the 3 Manchester United assets. We've got Trippier, so that's 4, plus then the 2 Brentford picks. And we need to bench 3 outfield players that week, so we're going to have to find room to transfer out 2 of those outfield players, plus have some cover on the bench for the goalkeeping option in David Raya. So let's see who the algorithm has gone with on the bench. We've got Toney's ban looming over him as well, so it's another thing to be wary of. We've got Leno, who will start in Game Week 25. I'm not quite sure what the Fulham fixture is in that week, but it could be decent cover. But I still just can't help but feel if you're spending that 4.5 million plus on each keeping option anyway, why not just go for Danny Ward and Edison and save the extra bit of funds? It's not like the algorithm's gone for 3 outfield Man City players. It's got the Man City slot there open and available. We've then got Stones and Akanji. So actually, call me rubbish, Akanji and Stones are on the bench and they will be in for the algorithm. So we do have some decent cover there for blank Game Week 25. But overall, I think there could be achieved a better balance, and you never know. Stones and Akanji, they look like maybe the 2 most nailed Man City outfield defenders, but is it really worth taking that risk at this current moment in time? It was said that Ake was indispensable to Man City, and then he was benched a week later. You really can't predict Pep Guardiola. But we're going to move on to my team now and have a quick look at how the changes I made would mean my team would be lining up. And this is the squad I've gone with. I've been raving about Edison this video, so you'll probably be able to predict he's in goal for me. We've then got Botman, Trippier, Shaw. I've kept the Bruno Fernandes and Rashford. I've kept the same midfield, basically. I've just removed Martinelli for a cheaper option in Andreas, and then gone for a big bolster front line. Can't really find it. I find it very tough to make a draft without Harry Kane in right now. Plus, then I've gone for Nketiah over Martinelli, who looks in brilliant form. All his statistics, which I found using the OptiStats tool over on the Fantasy Football Fix website, only second to Haaland in most of the attacking threat areas since the restart of FPL from Game Week 17. So I think having him in your team as an Arsenal slot is next to essential on a wild card. I would definitely be having him, and I would have him in your teams as well if I could pick your sides. I've then got Soufal and Bueno on the bench. They have decent Game Week 25 fixtures, which is why they're there to come in for 1 week where I'll be able to bench 2 of those blankers. Again, in this team, there's 5 outfield blankers. Edison's not blanking in goal. So with those free transfers up until game week 25, we'll easily be able to navigate the blank and hopefully field a full 11 in that game week. So yeah, let me know what you think of these two teams down below in the comments. Make sure to comment basically are you Team Eddie or Team Algorithm, even for the wild card. For the predicted points, the algorithm is on top. Obviously, that's how it's calculated. And if you want to check out the team for yourself, and if it evolves over the next couple of days before we have game week 22, then you can head over to fantasyfootballfix.com. The link is down below in the description. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. FPL will be back too soon. Don't get too bored. Occupy yourself with other stuff. And I'll see you all very soon for Eddie versus the algorithm next week.